Top stories for the hour. Fighters of the terrorist TPLF under custody expose the barbaric acts by their commanders. And Ethiopian Atlas Trophy at Copenhagen and Sydney. Hello and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Binam Getana. Thank you for joining us and do the rest of the program. Terrorist TPLF militants who surrendered to the National Defense Forces said their commanders killed them while they retreat. They considered that the only and ideal option for them is to surrender to the federal forces than be butchered by the terrorist group warlords for the retreating during the fight. The terrorist TPLF militants who surrendered to Ethiopian National Defense Force from various fronts told ETV that children of Tigray are being trampled like leaves in the war, and leaders of the terrorist TPLF do not even think about their people. According to prisoners of wars, undersage Tigrayans are being forcefully thrown into the flames of the war, not only to share the barbaric group of war chiefs and being sacrificed for a hollow cause. Daniela Roma, one of the POWs, confessed that he and his colleagues have spent 6 days in a fort, feeding grass and leaves, waiting to surrender to Ethiopian National Defense Forces instead of retreating and getting slaughtered by terrorist group war commanders. He remembered those painful days with tears, saying to retreat during the fight to simply get butchered. Many of the militants were murdered by the terrorist TPLF commanders only for retreating. Another young prisoner of war, Mulgeta Gabrahiwot, said, "We have been forcibly recruited into the war, but we opt for the right decision, surrender to the National Army." He revealed that while poor Tigrayan children have been immolated for the futile cause, TPLF's war chief were hiding themselves in caves far away from fighting scenes to save their own lives. Surrenders divulged that they learned the value of peace in the war, further declaring that the children of the Tigray region are paying futile sacrifice only to prolong the power of the terrorist gang, terrorist TPLF. Surrenders stated that the leaders of the terrorist TPLF stood at distance to save their own lives, but many poor families, Tigrayan children who were near them, died. And in other news, Scoop independent news editor-in-chief Alistair Thompson said the international community needs to realize that TPLF inherently not to a reliable negotiation partner in any respects. Thompson also called upon the international community to stand with the Ethiopian perspective as they are scapegoating for the resumption of the war. Shagoy Mata has compiled the following story. Let's take a look.
Thompson, who is an observer of the northern Ethiopia situation, stated that the Ethiopian government had created a peace committee and it was willing to accept talks anytime, anywhere and without any preconditions. However, the government's positive move did not eventuate, he added. The journalist said the TPLF started the third round of war on the 24th of August 2022, which dismayed everybody and blown up the peace effort, adding that the terrorist group is not a reliable negotiating partner.
TPLF clearly prepared to go ahead with the war and then proceeded to start the war on the 24th at 5 a.m. in the morning on the 24th of August. And I mean, I think that was a shock to everybody. Certainly was a shock to me. TPLF claimed that the government had repositioned troops there, but I mean, the government would have been aware that TPLF was moving its troops as well, probably preparing for that attack. What we've seen over the course of the last 2 years makes it clear that the TPLF are not a reliable negotiating partner in any respect. I mean, they've refused to negotiate throughout the war.
Thompson indicated that the TPLF is quite busy working with other terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab and Shene, which made an attempt to attack in the eastern Ethiopia, adding that Sudan supported to training fighters in bordering areas.
The fact that Sudan has allowed training of fighters and is allowing those fighters over the border is pretty serious in and of itself, but I mean it could get a lot worse.
The international community needs to understand Ethiopia's reality as the international perspectives have opposing views over the conflict, he added.
I think the international community struggled to understand the Ethiopian perspective on this conflict because the international perspective on this conflict is diametrically opposed. In the international perspective, the TPLF are sort of freedom fighters who have been oppressed by Abiy Ahmed, who's a Peace Prize winner, who doesn't deserve to be a Peace Prize winner, and is really genocidal or something. And the Ethiopian perspective is that they have experienced 23 months, I think, nearly 22 months, not quite 23 months, of this war, which has devastated the country and has been badly reported in the international media.
Thompson reproached the international media for their biased and fake news that perplexes the international community not to understand the fact about Ethiopia.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Addis News Hour. Now we are in our trending story, is a segment where we raise pertinent issue that happened about the past 24 hours here in Ethiopia, and also we're going to touch upon some recent happenings which is related to the Ethiopian government and that of the terrorist TPLF, and also in the meantime we'll raise a point as why the Western medias are giving a deaf ear to all the progresses that the Ethiopian government is, of course, showing repeatedly. And to tell us more about this and other relevant issues, I am here in the studio joined by my colleague Habtam Washagri to tell us more. And it's a very nice to have you, Habtam.
Thank you very much.
So we know the fact that there has been lots of happening in line with the war that's happening in the northern part of Ethiopia, and then also repeatedly we've been saying that the Ethiopian government explained his readiness at any time to hold a peace talk. However, as a result of this all efforts, it sounds ignorant that the international media and also the US government are putting undue pressure against the Ethiopian government. And as a result, in Washington, D.C., there has been a rally, Ethiopian nationalists in diaspora hold a sort of, rally denouncing the US government to stop this pressure against the Ethiopian government. And what do you have in your mind?
Thank you very much, Binyam. I know that the Ethiopian government and the PLA forces are heavily fought in the northern part of Ethiopia over the past 2 years, and within after 5 months, the third fresh attack orchestrated by the PLA forces, and the national community defied and failed to condemn this improper act of the PLF. After that, the government of Ethiopia is taking measures to bring peace and stability to the nation. And related with this fact, the Ethiopian diasporas and Ethiopian nationals residing in the United States of America are taking a rally in Saturday night. They said that, or messaging the government to stop their refrain from any act supporting the PLF in the conflict between the federal forces and the PLF forces. They are also urging the United States of government to reconsider their foreign policy, especially in the northern part of Africa, especially in the Horn region, as we know that this government is highly entertaining and static to secure their advantages, to restore their national interest against those northern part of Ethiopia, including those fight between the PLA forces and the government. They're supporting indirectly within the PLA forces, and they are always deaf ear to condemn the PLA actors, especially from the beginning of this conflict. They are deaf-eared and failed to condemn the PLA forces. This shows that how they are entertaining and helping the PLA forces to orchestrate such kind of conflict in the northern part of Ethiopia and to bring weakened government of the federal governments in Ethiopia. So Ethiopian diasporas are highly initiated to support the government of Ethiopia in this conflict because all wrongdoings are orchestrated by the PLF. The National Committee know this, but they have failed to condemn such kind of acts from the PLF. And this is the main point or target they are considering their foreign policy, especially in the Horn region of Africa.
And we know the fact also that the TPLF from the onset has been using conscripting child soldiers, which is against the international law. And as a result, the Ethiopian government from all concerned body have been trying to make people understand the fact that the TPLF have been involved in a very inhuman activity. Knowing this fact, still the international community are not giving any awareness, and they are not trying to express their feeling the fact that what the TPLF is doing is something against the international law, and still there is no change about it. And why do you think is the core reason that this some Western media, including the international communities, are not providing a platform for the government of Ethiopia to at least listen all the kind of processes that the government is going through?
The belligerent TPLF is ruling Ethiopia for the past 27 and more than 27 years in Ethiopia. They are failed to condemn it. That's why they are working alertly within the TPLF force when he was acting as the government of Ethiopia. And they try to secure their national interest by imposing TPLF and backing and advancing TPLF into the federal power. They have failed because all Ethiopians are ignoring what TPLF is doing and demonstrating to fight TPLF over the past 27 years of ruling Ethiopia, because there are a lot of atrocities, there are a lot of killings, there are a lot of human rights violations. But they know this, but they have failed to condemn TPLF because they have to backing and advancing TPLF in the federal powers, because they have securing their advantages in the whole region. As we all know, 150 million Ethiopian people, that is strong economy, influential nation in the north, in the whole region. So the TPLF forces, they are backing and advancing to secure their advantages. Even they have failed to condemn in why TPLF forces are recruiting children rather than troops and wave aggression and those human waves in the northern conflict. They condemn all actors except TPLF and so on and so on, because they are working behind TPLF, backing and advancing TPLF in the federal power, because that's the only point they are advancing their national interests, I hope.
And we know the facts that also on the recently released TPLF document, it clearly states the fact that they are inherently unready not to resolve the differences through peaceful means. And in this regard, what must be expected from the Ethiopian government in order to carve down these kind of problems?
That releasing document of TPLF is showing that how TPLF is belligerent and war-loving party, because there is no any surviving without any conflict in the northern part of Ethiopia. Not only the northern part of, you know that TPLF is a serious problem in the Horn of Africa over the past many years in Ethiopia. They're supporting those terrorist groups. They try to hijacking a lot of problems against the international laws and so on. That's why they are doing this. This document is showing that the TPLF forces is war-loving party, and it's not ready to negotiate within peaceful matters. That's why they rejecting the peace talks offer made by the federal government, saying that's why they are orchestrating the third fresh attack against Ethiopians in the region or the northern part of Ethiopia.
Thomas Shagre, thank you so much for updating us on the recent happening. It's a pleasure having you once again here.
That's my pleasure.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching at this news hour. Now moving to a similar story. The Ethiopian embassy in Djibouti stated that child soldiers conscripted by terrorist TPLF are betrayed by the international community that remains unmoved by their untold agonies. The terrorist TPLF has been forcing each household to trade at least one fighters for aid food and enlisted undersage Tigrayans into the flame of the war it initiated. Yet the international community was praising them as underdogs instead of condemning this international war crime. The embassy was baffled by the international community ignorance of this crime. The embassy said this silence has surely embodied the monotonous TPLF to continue actively recruiting thousands of undersage Tigrayans as its first line of defense, draining the future hopes of the region. Moving on, various countries' ambassadors expressed their keenness to work in cooperation and support Ethiopia's efforts to bring durable peace and prosperity journey. The ambassadors also extended best wishes for the Ethiopian New Year. Tigis Sirnesa has compiled the following story from Ethiopian news agency. Let's take a look.
Women actresses of the Ras Theatre visited the embassies of the US, United Arab Emirates, South Korea, in China and Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and presented a cultural, authentic Enqutatash chanting in front of the ambassadors and their staff. The actresses also expressed their New Year wish, paying visit to the ambassadors of the countries and their embassy staff. Chargé d'Affaires of the U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia, Tracy Ann Jacobson, has expressed keenness in the efforts to make Ethiopia's journey of peace and prosperity a reality.
The people of Ethiopia, we want to help contribute to peace and prosperity in this country, and we're dedicated to helping Ethiopians in need wherever they may be. And I feel extra energized now to get back to work because of your fantastic singing and dancing. And thank you very much for coming here first as you travel.
South Korean ambassador to Ethiopia, Ambassador Kang Soo-kye, on his part, extended his New Year wishes for Ethiopians.
Welcome, Addis Ahmed. Welcome, Enqutatash. Thank you very much. I wish Ethiopia and all Ethiopians very happy New Year. I wish Ethiopia peace and prosperity in the new year. Korea will become a good friend to Ethiopia always. We will help Ethiopia achieve peace and prosperity. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Good luck.
Chinese ambassador to Ethiopia, Zhao Jian, underscored that such cultural events are of irreplaceable importance in order to cement ties of the Ethio-China partnership even further.
There is no doubt that cultural exchanges like this are of vital importance to enhancing our mutual cooperation and understanding and friendship. The Chinese embassy will do its utmost to try to enhance cultural cooperation and exchanges between our two sides.
United Arab Emirates Ambassador to Ethiopia, Ambassador Mohammed Salim Al-Rashid, also stressed his best wishes for the Ethiopian New Year.
Thank you so much. I am very happy to see the traditional dance of Ethiopia and here in the embassy. Welcome, Addis Ahmed. Thank you so much.
Director and actresses of the Ras Theatre stated that preparations have been finalized ahead for this particular event to show the world how different the Ethiopian calendar is.
ገበሬው ማረስ አለበት፣ አስተማሪው ማስተማር አለበት፣ ነጋዴው መነገድ አለበት፣ ወታደር አገሩን መጠበቅ አለበት እንጂ ሁሉም ነገር ወደ አንድ ዳይሬክሽን ብቻ እንዲሄድ ካደረግን እንደ ሀገር መቆም አንችልም። ዘንድሮ ስንዴ ምንም ጥርጥር የለውም ኢትዮጵያ ኤክስፖርት አደርጋለች። መስራት ከቻል መብላት ከቻል መላክ ከቻል በተቃራኒ ያለው መራብ ከጠፋ ማስገባት ከቀነሰ መሰደድ ከቀረ በኢትዮጵያን ሉዓላዊነት ላይ በኢትዮጵያን ክብር ላይ በኢትዮጵያን አንድነት ላይ ቀጥተኛው ኢምፓክት አለው።
Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching at this news hour. Now moving to another news. The killing of innocent civilians, the recruiting of child soldiers and using the human wave tactics, among others by the TPLF, have been sent shock waves among all Ethiopians and friends of Ethiopian. Also, while taking control of town in both Amhara and Afar, the TPLF has smeared its hands in blood, massacring innocent civilians and causing massive destruction to the property. This being the glaring reality in most of the West and the US, with the mainstream media tagging along with them have opted to turn a blind eye to the plight of Ethiopians. But that is not the worst part. What is even more outrageous is that the TPLF Western backers are out there doing some smear campaign, making it look like the Tigrayan has witnessed the worst human rights violation by the Ethiopian Eritrean forces. We have the following reports. Let's take a look.
Unable to cope with the reality of losing grip on federal power, the TPLF assaulted the Federal Defense Barrack in Mekelle in November 2020, prompting Ethiopia to defend itself.
The EU says that drone strikes on a major city in Tigray in the north of Ethiopia endanger a very fragile hope of peace. Now, according to hospital officials in the city of Mekelle,
a months-long investigation has uncovered detailed evidence of the massacre of dozens of civilians in the Tigray region of northern Ethiopia.
Although the nearly 2-year war, the West and its Spartan media outlets have left no stone unturned to keep the TPLF off the hook and lay blame on the Ethiopian government. After miserably failing to restore the TPLF to its much coveted power in Addis Ababa, its Western backers are trying a human rights violation stunt. As part of this move, the United Nations Human Rights Council has appointed 3 human rights investigation team experts enabled to investigate the situation of human rights in Ethiopia. The government of Ethiopia expressed its concern repeatedly that United Nations officers have violated the international principle as well as shared arguments by supporting the TPLF cliques now and then. These United Nations officers have put aside the principle of transparency by conveniently ignoring the TPLF flagrant violation of human rights in Amhara and Afar states. The so-called International Commission of Human Rights expertise has dipped its head once again in the internal affairs of the country by suggesting to bring about transitional justice and accountability, a concept very much fine-tuned with interests of the TPLF. Stating that it has appointed 3 judges, the Commission went on saying that impunity still remains rampant in Ethiopia, even urging the Ethiopian government to bring perpetrators to justice. The Commission is making it look like the Ethiopian government is not interested in conducting investigations and allowing access to conflict-affected areas. Also, the Commission suggests consultations with actors in neighboring countries, a very dangerous and dubious move given to TPLF insurgents sheltered in neighboring Sudan as refugees. In conclusion, this move is meant to boost the TPLF's international media stunt and apply undue pressure against the Ethiopian government to bend to the interest of the West.
In other news, patrons of the Interreligious Council of Ethiopia have visited the progress of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and its current status. During their visit, patrons of the council wished the Ethiopian New Year to be a year of peace, hope, and unity for Ethiopians. They also blessed the dam and prayed for Ethiopia and the workers at the dam. Urging all Ethiopians to do their part for peace and unity, the patrons also gave their blessing to the construction crew. Johannes van Town takes it from here. Let's look.
The patrons reviewed the construction stage of what's expected to be Africa's biggest dam upon completion. The leaders of each denomination conveyed a congratulatory message for all Ethiopians and expressed hopes that the flagship project would come to its much-anticipated completion as scheduled. Representing the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, His Grace Abuna Abraham underscored that Ethiopia's steadfastness exhibited throughout the construction of the dam is a symbol of its continuity.
ሰላማችን ቢሰፍን አንድነታችን ህብረታችን ቢጠነክር
I have every reason to believe that the dam is a symbol of our ability to stand up to challenges and that we shall prevail no matter what. I am pleased by what I saw up here today and would like to congratulate all those who have been toiling to make the dam a success.
ያላችሁትን በሙሉ እንኳን ደስ አላችሁ እላለሁ.
President of the Ethiopian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, Sheikh Haji Ibrahim Tufa, for his part said the dam is a project indicative of Ethiopia's undying desire for fair and equitable use of the Nile waters.
አላህ በሰጠነው ኒዕማ ሳንጠቀም የቆየኑ
It is a pity that we squandered a splendid opportunity to take advantage of the untapped natural resources found in an abundance for quite long. However, the nation is beginning to savor a moment of hope thanks to the undertaking here at Guba. This project helps solidify our unity.
The president of the Ethiopian Catholic Church, His Grace Cardinal Brhane Jesus Swafel, says that the GERD is a project meant to snap millions of Ethiopians out of the quagmire of poverty.
This dam is our way out of the vicious circle of poverty and a resource to share with our neighbors. The water that goes past the dam benefits all the neighboring countries. It is a manifestation of our unity for Ethiopians.
Inter-Religious Council General Secretary Reverend Tagai Tadele said sacrifices are being paid unreservedly on various fronts to maintain the unity and sovereignty of Ethiopia, adding that at the dam sites to admirable work is being done day and night to realize Ethiopia's prosperity. Ethiopia has successfully attained its third filling of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam in August 2022.
In our business segments, Indonesia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Al-Busra Bansur, said the Trade Expo Indonesia that takes place next month will open the eyes and minds of Ethiopian business persons about Indonesian potential and Indonesian business person. The 37th Trade Expo will be held at the Indonesian Convention Exhibition, Jakarta, from October 19 to 23, 2022. Ambassador Bansur told ENA that this is the biggest annual trade expo in Indonesia. Every year, the number of participants and outcomes of Trade Expo increase. According to him, more than 20 Ethiopian business communities have participated in the Trade Expo in 2019. Unfortunately, in 2021, Indonesia didn't organize the Trade Expo physically because of COVID-19 pandemic. The most important thing for me, for Ethiopian friends in Ethiopia, is that this year's Trade Expo will be also enriched by the Indonesian Ethiopian Business Forum. The Embassy of Indonesia in Addis Ababa, in cooperation with the Indonesian Chambers of Commerce, will organize a forum in Jakarta. At the sidelines of Trade Expo Indonesia, it was learned. The Trade Expo also offers comprehensive supporting programs such as forums, seminars, and business match both offline and offline to provide easy access to explore trade, tourism, and investment opportunities in Indonesia.